Is it easy to get a loan if you're not a Spanish resident?
Surprisingly, very easy to get one.
Does the bank give any benefits on having an insurance with their entity?
Many people think that having the insurance out of the bank with external company is a better deal, and actually is the opposite.
Is Spain right now in a good place in terms of interest rates for mortgages?
Welcome to the IHI podcast, the show that shares all ins and outs about selling and buying a property in Spain. With topics like finance, the lifestyle in Spain, the psychology behind real estate, and much more. In this episode, we invited a special guest from the bank to talk about the financial part of buying a property in Spain.
Hello, Sherry.
Hello, Morten. How are you?
I am very good. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm actually doing what I think is becoming the very favorite part of my job, podcasting with you.
Yeah, exactly. Like we are sitting. What is the clock? My clock is not charged, but I think the clock is around 7-8 in a Friday evening, and here we are.
It's actually clap for us.
Yeah, it is.
So, what an interesting podcast we have today, right? In my opinion, one of the probably most important things in real estate in purchasing a home that people should know.
Yeah,
What do you
exactly. Because we are going to dive into the, I would say, like scary subject, because for many this subject will be a little bit scary because it's about the money, how you can actually buy a house.
Yeah. Swimming or navigating the unknown. And for most people, unfortunately, the unknown sometimes has to do a lot with finances. Okay?
Yeah.
And we've also seen our experience with clients is that some people don't really take the leap on I'm going to buy this property. It's a really good investment because they don't really know how to manage their own finances. So today, I think most of the questions that are key before buying a property will be answered. We have an amazing guest. I'm so excited to introduce our audience to him. And so before we jump in, right, and because our next podcast will be on buying a home, what are the next steps, etc. I think we're going to start with the hardcore topic, finances.
I think that is a really good idea because when we wrote the script originally for this podcast, we wrote like a step-by-step list. But I think our new guest has many things that would be more interesting for our listeners to hear. So I think we now are diving into the financial, how to get a loan, and how is it difficult? Like, do we know? Is it difficult?
Well, I think we need to let him answer this. I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. So without delay, I'm going to introduce to our amazing guest, Crass. It's such a pleasure to have you with us. Welcome. And thank you so much for being here, for being able to take some time.
Thank you. Firstly, thank you for the invitation and for having me here. It's an awesome opportunity to be the first guest and also a huge responsibility. So I'm here to answer your questions the best I can.
Well, I'm sure that's going to be the case. But, Cass, before we start into the nitty-gritty of financing and securing investment from a bank perspective, I'm sure that all our listeners would like to know who you are. So tell us, who are you as a person? And also, importantly, how did you land in banking?
Well, my name is Crass. Actually, they call me Crass. My full name is Krasimir Kirkov. I'm originally from Bulgaria. When I was a child, my family moved to the island, to Gran Canaria. After high school, I did financial career, 4 years in the University of Wales. And after that, I moved to Madrid to make a master about auditing. Eventually, I started to work in Madrid as an auditor and did 2 years of career there. Unfortunately, COVID came and I had to move to Gran Canaria. And I say I had because I saw myself in a huge city all alone without having the possibility to see my friends or going around. So I decided to come back and home office from here. By then, the company I used to work, they allowed me to do so. But after the COVID situation got better, they started me to call and to work there. So I had to do 1 week there, 2 weeks here, and I had to catch a lot of flights. Eventually, I had to go during that 2 weeks visiting my Gran Canaria. I had to go 1 or 2 days per week. So it started to be impossible, and I found a great opportunity to work in a bank just 3 minutes by where I live.
Which it doesn't sound bad at all, right? Living in Gran Canaria. But I guess that also having that opportunity to be living in a place like Madrid, a big city, moving here now, it's a little easier life, but always opportunities to go to Madrid, and you have a great experience. So tell us, how did you land in banking? Because I also know that you have a very exciting background, which has nothing to do with financing. So tell us a bit more about that.
That's right. Canaries is a great place to live, especially if you look for high quality life. But Madrid was a great opportunity for a young person that just graduated to explore a little bit more, have more working opportunities, and the most important is to gain experience. So coming back here, I got this opportunity in banking, and I decided to do so because my last job, auditing and accounting, was a little bit, let's say, intensive, a little bit intensive and boring. Boring because I didn't have contact with person, just on my computer, just with the Excel or SAP, or just looking about paperwork that our client, which is a company, they work B2B, so our client was always a company, and we had a little contact with human life, but very little. So I needed that, and that's why I decided to introduce myself in banking. And since I started, I'm very happy, and I'm really enjoying every day working there, starting with a big smile and motivated to go to work.
That sounds amazing. And also, I think it's a really soft landing from big auditing, B2B type of business, and landing to a bank here in Gran Canaria, but people still go to the bank. There are many other places in Europe, big cities in Europe, where people do everything online banking. But here, at least, you can still see people, you have contact. And when we talk about contact with people, we have a lot of that in real estate, right? And so, yeah, it sounds like a very soft landing for you. And we are very happy that you're enjoying Gran Canaria too.
So, yeah, that's absolutely right. Where I am right now compared to my old company, the working process is much more dynamic. So you get a lot of new things, and you don't know what will happen the next day. Every day is unique.
Amazing. Sounds like a really great job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think now Morten is going to take some questions, Crass. Very interesting one. Most of them will be related to real estate and financing, all right? And as the expert on this podcast, which is yourself, hopefully you can give us some answers to it. Yeah? Morten, I pass all the magic to you.
Okay, for somebody that is both living and working in a very touristic place, tell me a little bit about a typical day in your bank branch.
Yeah. So I work in an area that is a very touristic place, and our office, I'll define it as an international office, because we have all kind of clients around the world. And we actually have more foreigner clients than Spanish, and we are very much specialized in foreigner mortgages or operations.
For somebody that is not living on the island, like for example me, if I live in Norway and I want to apply for a bank loan and I don't know where to start, what documentation is required for, first of all, to apply for a bank loan?
Surprisingly, it's much easier to get a loan for a foreigner in Spain than somebody could think. The first step will be having the house that you have decided to buy, having the amount of the house, and then you'll be asked for some basic financial documentation from your country. To open an account, you can also have a bank account in Spain without being a resident or without having the Spanish NIE.
Is that required to have a Spanish bank account?
No,
No?
it's not required. You're able to have access to a bank account in Spain only with your passport, and you will need a proof of your activity. That could be a tax declaration from the last year, a salary payroll for the last month, or a working contract. That document must be either in Spanish or English.
Yeah.
Those are the languages accepted by the bank, but only for opening the bank account. Because our bank has another department for mortgage. If somebody wants a loan for buying a house in Spain and not being a resident, then you can provide documentation in your language. If it's Norwegian, that's completely fine. If it's Swedish, also fine. That series of documentation will be, I said, tax declaration, credential story that you'll be asked for sure. If you have more loans, then you will need to show the last two payments. The bank will probably ask you for the movements of all your bank accounts in Norway for the last year or two. Another document will be some kind of working life status or story from your country or the countries that you have been working or paying taxes. And that's pretty much. For sure, there will be some extra documents depending on the person, depending on the age and the country they're from, because different countries have different bank laws and also different relation with Spain.
Yeah, exactly. But how much can I borrow? Like, how do you calculate how much you can apply?
So this question is very, very interesting because this is a question from the perspective of somebody that hasn't been inside the bank, hasn't seen it from the kitchen. The bank doesn't see like this the situation. The bank just sees an operation with numbers. The most important thing for the bank is the possibility of a person, of the client, to save, let's say. I'll explain it the easiest way. The only thing that the bank is worried about is about your income and your debt. So if you have good financial health, you have strong incomes, and you don't have so much debt, or the balance between the debt and the income is by the limits, which is 40%. You could be maximum 40%. You can have the 40% of debt from the incomes from the monthly income. Then you will be completely accepted for the loan.
Yeah.
Another interesting fact that client must know at the beginning is that for foreigner or non-resident, they are able to get up to 60% from the bank, and they should pay the rest, the 40% left.
So you have to go in with 40%, and then you can borrow the rest from the bank.
Exactly. We have had some rare cases that they could get 70.
Okay.
So the maximum I have seen has been 17% for a non-resident.
Okay.
And if you can get the NIE number and the green NIE card, because there is also white NIE, which is not accepted by the bank for the simple fact that it doesn't show your resident. It's just a foreigner number, which doesn't mean anything. Being a resident in Spain means that you pay taxes here. Okay. So if somebody gets the NIE, the green NIE, they could get up to 80%, and they should have only the 20. So that's the little difference. And to get the NIE, there are some differences between countries. But for Norway, I know that they should have a health insurance in Spain covered, private health insurance for 1 year.
Okay.
And if they show that to the police and show some minimal incomes that they are able to pay their bills in the country and live, they're able, and it's pretty easy to get the green NIE and get the 80% they're looking for.
To conclude, is if you have a certain amount of money every month in your bank account, it's good to save a little bit of that money, so you don't spend money you literally don't have. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's completely right, and that is the point, the main point that the bank is looking after in order to have a successful operation. Extra money or extra savings shows a strong financial health, and that's what banks are looking after because of the simple reason that they reduce the risk. It's all about the risk, and if you show that incomes to the bank with paying your taxes or your payroll, you will have huge possibilities to get a loan in Spain.
Very, very interesting. And can I apply for a loan even though I'm not physical here? Can I go online? Can I, even though I'm not a resident here?
No, actually, you need to come to our office and sign some documents which allow us to start the operation and study about you and get more information about you. Okay, so the person that is interested in bank loan, they should come by the office and get in touch. Tell us what they want to buy or what their needs are, and then we start to build a product or operation about the client and recommend the next steps that work for the client.
Exactly. Let's say I own a big boat. The boat is worth a lot of money in my own country. Can I use that boat as a security for the bank to maybe give me a higher loan or approving the loan?
The answer for this question will be depends. Depends how did you finance, or how are you financing the boat, for example, or the asset, or either if it's bringing you profit or not.
Yeah.
So it's again about the incomes and your costs monthly. A person is exactly the same like a company. The company has the incomes and the costs, and finally you get the profit from the company. So a person is the same. A person has his salary or his incomes from dividends from companies or any other assets that he declares, and at the end of the month, if he is over debt, that's not a good sign, even if he has a lot of boats and a lot of assets. It's all about this saving rate.
So my last question will be, is it easy to get a loan if you're not a Spanish resident?
Surprisingly, very easy to get one.
Crass, now I would like to touch a very interesting point, which is the interest rates in different European zones. Is Spain right now in a good place in terms of interest rates for mortgages?
Yes, so Spain is part of the Eurozone, and the Eurozone is dictated by the European Central Bank, which dictate the interest rate, which is called Euribor, or in Spanish Euribor. The Euribor right now is at 3.6%, a little bit high than the past 5-6 years, because of the world situation. And so a person that is willing to get a loan will probably get a loan with the cost of the Euribor, which is 3.6 plus 2% of differential, more or less. It could be a little bit high or a little bit low. But let's say it's about 2, so at the end you get a loan for 5.6% amount of interest rate for a year, sorry.
Okay, interesting. And I bet that differs from, as you explained, the interest rates from Euribor to different areas, right?
And it's floatable. It could be different tomorrow than it was today. And right now we are in a situation where we recommend to get variable interest rate loan and not fixed. Anyway, banks don't give fixed rates anymore unless you're a private bank. In our bank, to be a private banking member, you need to have more than 500,000 in positions in our bank. So it's not a good idea to get a fixed one because right now it's very high. We expect that it will get down a little bit lower. So if you fix it now and you pay fixed rate now, you will continue pay that all of the life of the loan. So it's not a good idea. It was a big deal having a fixed rate 2 years ago, since the crisis started after COVID. And we are basically guided by the European Bank. And another thing I would add is that the Euribor means that this is the price the European Bank fixed for the rest of the banks around the Eurozone. So basically, our Spanish bank go to the European Bank and say, hey, I need this money. For how much do you give it to me? So the European Bank say, yes, I'll give you this money for this price. And the Spanish bank will give this money to the client, to the final client, with an extra profit.
Yeah, obviously. Mm-hmm. Banks always need a little bit of profit, right? Mm-hmm. And this is so helpful for everyone that is listening. And obviously, you're not giving any type of recommendations of financial advice here in the podcast. You're just telling your experience and what you know, right? So people shouldn't take this as, oh, we heard in a podcast that an expert in finance, in banking said that this is what is best. So everyone needs to take their own decisions and make their own judgment when it comes to finances, right? It's really, really interesting. Thank you, Crass. That takes me to another question, which I have a lot of interest on it. And it's insurances. I always find it really strange how insurances work. Some people say, Sherry is very straightforward, but I don't think so. So can you explain briefly how insurances work when having a mortgage with the bank? Or how, does the bank give any benefits on having an insurance with their entity?
Many people think that having the insurance out of the bank with external company is a better deal. And I was one of those people before I started working for a bank. And actually is the opposite. Having yourself the most linked to the bank gives you always better opportunities, and you can ask for better rates, for example, for the commission that they charge you, for example, to transfer some Norwegian crowns to euros, you can also negotiate that and get a better interest rate. So the most you're linked to the bank, the better for you. And the bank has very good offers actually for insurance and good prices with good condition. Mm-hmm. We work with the biggest companies for insurance in Spain. So the bank a client should ask for an insurance to his bank, to his bank. Additionally, if a client has insurance with the bank, could get a bonification for the interest rate. In our bank is for each 100 euros of insurance that you have, you get 0.1% less from your loan rate. So if you have 500 euros of insurance from any kind, you can have auto insurance for your car, health insurance. Each 100 euros will rest you 0.1%.
Interesting. Very interesting. So we tend to think of the banks like sometimes the bad guys, but
No.
they're not so the bad guys, because so many people are able to build empires thanks to banks,
Yeah,
right?
of
Thanks
course.
to the loans that they get, thanks to the many opportunities that they get, right?
Exactly.
And when we talk about interest rates and commission rates, there's also a very important point, especially in real estate, when we send clients to the bank to get mortgages. There is a negotiation when transferring money from abroad or receiving money from abroad. So that commission rate, can you also explain briefly? Because I'm sure that some of our listeners are from abroad and they would like to understand what happens when money is transferred.
Yeah, the situation is that literally one of the banks, either Norwegian or Spanish, goes to the market and takes this money that you want to change it for you and charge you an extra cost for it. There will always be an extra cost for transferring money abroad. My suggestion to a foreigner client is to always speak with both banks and ask for the best offer from each of them. And the winning bank should be asked to make the transfer. And when you get the bank that you wish that make the change for you, is to inform the bank. And if you choose, for example, the Spanish bank to change your crowns, you should send the money from Norway in Norwegian crowns. And we receive it here in Norwegian crowns, change it for you, and give it to you in euros, in your bank account, in your position.
Excellent. Thank you. It's really, really interesting. All right, Crass, I think we have come to the very end of our podcast, at least the second one. The only thing I can add on is that it's been an immense pleasure to have someone like you with your knowledge, so professional and being so outspoken, so honest about how a bank works, right? It's also very interesting to really understand the very deep details on how a bank really works and how a bank works with a real estate company and with clients that are non-resident, which is a very special thing to actually to do.
I'm happy to talk about this topic because I strongly believe that we should work together and work on the same page, client and bank. Because clients, they see many times the bank that they think that the bank will charge me a lot, or the bank is against me. No, the bank wants to work with you. The bank wants your success, because if you're well, the bank will be well as well.
Yeah.
We are willing to help your clients. Any client that you have and have any question can approach me and give him or her advice, and try to build a product or service fixed to their needs.
Yeah, really, really interesting. I was told by someone many years ago, the relationship between a bank and a client is a symbiosis. I work for you, you work for me, we both succeed.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what happens.
Sure. Win-win situation.
Yeah, correct.
That's
Win-win. Yeah. So, Crass, it's been a real pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
Only the first time, but I'm sure you're going to come back, because there's so much knowledge in that brain that we would love to get more from it.
Great.
Thank you so much for coming in today, and we wish you an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, there is many things here I didn't know. This knowledge is new for me because I work with marketing. That is my area of expertise. But he said like it's easy. It's not difficult to get along, and I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, and if you look at things from the perspective of a professional person within EHA, I understand it, but you may become a customer one day. You may become a client that wants to buy a real estate portfolio. So it's so interesting to really hear the right information from within. So I was very surprised with there's so much information that he gave us, he gave our audience.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people have the opportunity to hear this when they're going and buy a property.
No.
So I think this is it's been a really exciting podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm so pleased.
Yeah, me
actually
too.
invited
I'm
him.
very, very pleased. And I look forward. I was sitting in the room, but I still want to hear the podcast over again. So I'm going to put this when we're finishing editing. I'm going to put it in my car and I'm going to listen one more time.
What a great idea.
Because this was very interesting.
What a
and
great idea.
a super episode again. And for the next podcast, we are going to dive a little bit more in. Do we know what we are going to talk about in the next
I think
one?
so.
Yeah.
I think so. It's how to buy a property in Spain, in Gran
Right.
Canaria, but from the point of view of real estate,
Yeah.
right? So what a customer needs to know, what a customer needs to find out, how to find a good agent, how to find a trustworthy company, and so I don't want to spoil too much from it.
No. So today we have talked about one big point in a list of how to buy a property in Spain. So this was a little taster before the next episode.
Correct.
Very good. I look forward to that, Sher.
Me too. And as always, thank you very much, Morten. It's been a pleasure to hear your voice again.
Likewise.
And see you in the next podcast. We'll see you on Monday. But see you on the next podcast.
Have a good weekend.
You too.